Light and shadow are very important when drawing because it can bring depth and also a lot of drama into your sketches. So let's explore that today. And also, I've been kind of obsessing about the transparency question, so I found something else. This is a very simple thing from around the house, and that will be my subject for today. Let's dive in. Let's explore and stick around for a fun drawing assignment later in this video. Take a close look at light and shadow by using a flashlight or the light on your smartphone and move it around your subject. Look at the very dramatic changes the light makes. Look at the long shadows or the very short shadows by moving your light source higher, lower, closer, or further away. The darkness of the shadow changes also depending on how close your light is or how far away, or if there are any other light sources close by. Play around with this and then you will start understanding how light and shadow play together and how you can easily recognize when you are drawing from observation where the light comes from and where the shadows fall. It's very helpful to add depth to your drawing. I'm using a Sailor fountain pen with a calligraphy nib, a bent nib that can give really nice organic lines. I'm using platinum carbon black ink in it, which is waterproof. It's a waterproof ink that is safe to use in fountain pens, and so I can use watercolors on top. First, I'm outlining the shapes of my subject, and then the actual shadow is also a shape. So I am adding that too, and I'm filling it using my pen. I like how it's a little bit scratchy, which shows a little bit of the transparency of the shadow, even though the shadow is quite dark. The bits of white add life to it. Now I definitely also want to add color, so I'm using my watercolors for that. These are Daniel Smith watercolors, and I'm using a water brush, which has the water inside the handle, and I think that's quite handy. I'm mixing a bit of bluish gray and then mixing some more blue in it. I also use some brown for the stem of the plant, and that basically is enough. I don't need a lot of colors. I can keep it limited, and I'll use the same set of colors throughout this spread as I am filling it with drawings. I chose this subject so that I could practice some more how to draw transparency. Last week's video was all focused on that, and if you missed it, I will link to that video at the end of this one so you can watch it next. As I keep drawing the same little setup, the object stays the same, but everything around it shifts. The shadow changes shapes and length each time I move the light, and the colors inside the jar look different too, with new highlights and darker areas popping up. I also start seeing details I didn't notice before, which is the great thing about repetition. Here's a fun assignment for you this week. Pick a small and simple object. A cup or a little plant works great. Even a fork or some kind of small decoration you might have. You get the idea. Place it on your table and get a flashlight or use your phone's light. Make 5 sketches. After every sketch, move the light to a new angle. Keep them small and keep them loose. Focus on the shadow. Look at how its shape, length, and darkness change. Draw the shadow as a clear shape. Notice the color shifts if you add watercolor or color pencil. They might be very subtle, but just observe how the light changes the colors and the highlights inside your object. Use a simple palette. This way you keep it simple for yourself and it creates cohesion on the page, without you needing to think about it really. What you'll do is train your eye to understand light direction, see form more clearly, and feel more confident placing shadows in your drawings. Plus, it's a super satisfying page to fill. Some practical things happen along the way here in my process. One shadow falls off the page. Another would overlap a previous drawing, so I tweak it a little bit. And the size of my subject grows a little from sketch to sketch. I didn't do it on purpose, but it's a fun surprise. That's the fun thing about the sketchbook. You never know what will happen, and also everything goes. All of that is completely fine. Using that limited palette keeps the page cohesive, and choosing to switch to a brush pen to fill in a big area of dark shadow more quickly helps me move on instead of feeling impatient. The whole process becomes a mix of observation, small surprises, and letting things be a little wonky. That's exactly why this kind of repetition is so fun. By repeating the same subject with different light angles, you start to see what light and shadow actually do. You notice how the shadow shifts, stretches, softens or sharpens, how colors and highlights change, and how much depth a clear light direction can add. It trains your eyes, builds confidence, and helps you make stronger decisions when you draw from observation. I hope this was inspiring for you. Maybe you will find something in your household as well to draw, and I hope you have fun with it. Next week, I'll be back with another Draw Tip Tuesday video. See you then. Bye.